So I just love the idea of this documentary so much, where you actually go to the places along the trail of migration into the West. Where did you start?
We started in Mauritania, and then we went to the Canary Islands, which is a Spanish territory, but, so to Spain, the Canary Islands, and we went to mainland Spain, to France, and the United Kingdom.
Unbelievable. What's Mauritania, for those who don't know?
Mauritania is a West African Islamic republic, and that is the launch point where a lot of these so-called migrants leave on boat and head to the Canary Islands. They leave from other countries as well, but Mauritania nowadays is the main launch point.
Why Mauritania?
It's just a convenient point. They sort of come from all over the Sahel and Maghreb up north, and then from south they'll come from like Sierra Leone, they'll come from Senegal and other countries, and they sort of meet there. And it's also geographically situated near the Canary Islands, so it's convenient. And that's where they leave from. But they also leave from countries like Senegal, or I think they leave from Jordan sometimes.
It's kind of crazy though that you as an American and your brother also, just two Americans, can know exactly how this works. You're just two ambitious young guys. You're right. You don't work for CIA.
Right. That's right.
And somehow you know the migrant route and the means of transporting hundreds of thousands, millions of people illegally.
Right. Well,
how do you know that?
Yeah. Well, we've been studying this for a while. We studied this very intensively here in the United States. As I said to you earlier off camera, we were the first Americans, as far as I'm aware. I mean, somebody could contact me if this is incorrect, but I'm not aware of anybody else that's done it. We were the first Americans to go from South America, from Ecuador to the U.S. border. And when you look at what's going on in Europe, a lot of the same organizations are running the show out there as well. And so if you know, okay, just read the news. Okay, they're landing in the Canary Islands. They're taking off from Mauritania. From there, it's not really that difficult to start putting it together. And, as long as you know what NGOs to go check out, what questions to ask, you'll figure it out.
I think in the minds of most Americans, certainly our view of immigration is from Latin America to the United States. It's like, starts with Mexican farm workers, and then it's all of Latin America. Okay, great. And then when we think of Europe, we think of refugees from the Syrian wars, Muslims from the Levant. But African migration is like a lot of it from the most violent continent in the world. And who's facilitating that? Do you know?
Yes, it's not an easy answer, so I can't just be like, well, it's just like this one group.
It's this guy, yeah.
Right. So it's many people. I would say, at the highest level, like if we're looking at this from an airplane, it really is the populations, the native populations of Europe not realizing that this is an existential threat. Because if they did, they would be up in arms tomorrow. And these politicians, these are feckless people for the most part. These are not people that really give a damn. They're just trying to win the next election. They're less concerned about the present and more concerned about winning the next election, right?
Of course they are.
And so, if there was enough pressure from the native population, this would stop tomorrow. So like at the highest level, that's really what it is that, the natives don't realize what a threat this is. And it is. It's existential, and it's the end of Europe, and it will be the end of the United States as well, the West in general.
It calls for revolution of some kind.
It really does. Yes. 100%. So that's at the highest level. Now, at the lower levels, if we're looking at who's actually doing this, you're talking criminal organizations, you're talking opportunist countries who use this as a means to get, financial aid, financial support, almost like blackmail. And you're looking at non-governmental organizations, many of them. And, we could get into that. I mean, they should be investigated, audited, prosecuted, a lot of them, but,
I notice they haven't been.
Well, a lot of them haven't been. No.
Right.
100%.
Can you name some of those NGOs?
Yeah, absolutely. So the king daddy above everything is the United Nations.
Yes.
And their migration wing, which is the International Organization of Migration, the acronym is the IOM. And really everywhere you go and where you see this stuff, and by everywhere you go, I mean, when you're at key border crossing points, I'll give you an example. In the Americas, for example, when these people cross the Darien Gap, which I've crossed with my brother, we've trekked through that jungle. There is a town called Nakokli, which is on the Colombian side, and that's like the launching point where from there they get on a boat, they go to the mouth of the jungle, and they start trekking across. You have IOM workers that were there. Now the flow has, stopped under Trump. The infrastructure is still there. So I do think if we get, Gavin Newsom, for example, in 2028, this could start again, but, we don't have to go there for now. But you have IOM workers there. And what they were doing is they were handing out, I don't know what else to call them. It sounds crude, but rape kits where these women, they would hand to migrant women kits that had condoms, day after pills, and whistles, like in case you're getting raped in the jungle. And then they pop out on the other end if they make it, God willing. And then they're put in UN camps, and you have the IOM there as well, and giving them aid, handing out maps, that sort of thing. And then in Europe, it's the same thing. What we got on camera was honestly the most incredible thing maybe that I've ever gotten on hidden camera, where we were in the Canary Islands, and I was tailing a bus. A boatload of these people had just got off from the island of El Hierro, and they're taken off the boat, they're processed, and they're put on a bus, and they're driven to a camp. And so I'm tailing this bus to a camp. And the entire time I'm looking for the United Nations, I'm trying to find these people so I could talk to them. Haven't seen anything. And, I'm feeling like, are we going to get anything out of this? And I see this man in a blue vest, and I know who that is. Okay, that's the United Nations worker. So I talk to him, and we arrange a meeting, and we take him out. And this is when people watch the documentary, they'll see this. And so this guy's job is to, I believe he's still working with them, is when these so-called migrants come in, to pay them money and get information from them. Who did you pay to smuggle you up here to Europe? How was this working? To get information ostensibly so that they could be prosecuted by European countries. But what we could get into and what we caught on camera, this guy was so corrupt and admitted to such a corrupt system that he was part of. It blew my mind, and we could get into that. But that's the IOM. There's the Red Cross. There's the Norwegian Refugee Council. There's many other organizations. There's, Catholic Charities. There's an organization called ASIM. That's another Catholic charity that flies them from the Canary Islands to Europe. Hebrew Immigrant Aid Societies that Alejandro Mayorkas sat on the board of. So these are just a few.
So the net result of this, the end point of this long journey is Western Europe, where the benefits are the highest. They were the richest countries in the world. Because of this, they no longer are. And the effect has been a radical decline in quality of life for Europeans and in the state of their cities. There's a clip in this documentary that I just want to put on the screen now. This is Paris, France, It's the center of the world for centuries. And this is your exchange with a migrant in Paris. It kind of tells the story in pictures. Here it is.
This is a situation out here in front of the Eiffel Tower. You got all these guys, these vendors that sell out here in front of the Eiffel Tower. Hello. Let's talk to one of them. Hello. You got all these vendors that sell right here.
No fucking video.
Huh?
No video.
No, we want to talk to you. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Why? See, they get very upset when you start talking to them. Everything okay? Hey, what's the problem, man? What's the problem? Huh? Hey, what's up? Come on.
Wait.
Whoa!
Did you leave?
Oh, shit. Just get me on film. I'll fucking explain what's going on.
Did we lose our GoPro?
Wait, hold on. Just give me a second.
We just lost our GoPro, bro.
Explain what the fuck happened, Josh. Explain, this is your moment. Explain what happened.
They tried attacking you. I tried getting them off. To be completely honest, I didn't even feel this when it happened. I didn't even realize I was bleeding. There was just a bunch of blood coming down my face. Even right now, I don't even feel it, but the pain is starting to come in a little bit. I just can't believe how much I'm bleeding right now. Oh, it's starting to hurt. This is what happens when you let a bunch of foreigners from barbaric cultures that can't assimilate completely overtake your country.
It's really an amazing clip. I felt sorry for your brother, but I'm also grateful that you got that on tape. Who was that who attacked you? Do you know?
Beats me. And the thing is, in Europe, you can't get that information because they have these very strict privacy laws. So we couldn't even get security.
There's no privacy in Europe. I mean, they put people in jail for not taking the COVID vaccine.
Sure.
There's privacy for African migrants.
That's right. That bash you over the head with, Eiffel Tower souvenirs. Yeah.
Is that what he hit him with?
100%. Yeah. We got jumped, and my brother saved my life. Basically, yeah. I got mobbed by these people, and he came in, started throwing hands. He got bashed over the head, and then I got up and sort of broke away, and then the police came in and they took off. Nobody got arrested or anything like that.
Nobody got arrested?
No, they got away, and they got away with a lot of it, like over $1,000 worth of stuff. His phone, our GoPro, and yeah.
Our new partner, Dose, is a way better option than Big Pharma. That's not damning with faint praise. Anything's a better option than Big Pharma. There's a much better option. Some things are just out of people's hands, and cholesterol is often one of them. Everyone gets blamed for getting bad cholesterol because they eat crappy food, but the truth is a lot of it's just genetic. It runs in your family, and there's not a lot you can do. So pharma decides the only option is take some pill. And they can help, but a lot of them have unintended consequences, to put it mildly. And if you don't quite trust that plan, no one can blame you for it. That's why you should think about Dose. Very different. Dose for Cholesterol is a clinically backed cholesterol support supplement. It targets triglycerides, HDL, LDL, total cholesterol. A lot of people use it, and the results have been remarkable for them. And it's easy to take. It's a daily 2-ounce shot that tastes like mango. So that means no pills, no powders, no injections. And it works. And it's filled with natural ingredients like turmeric, not a bunch of weird chemicals that you can't pronounce and may again have unintended consequences. Visit dosedaily.co/Tucker and use the code Tucker for 35% off. If you want to try it, we recommend it. dosedaily.co/Tucker, code Tucker, 35% off.
So they hit him in the face with a statue.
Right.
And then stole your stuff.
And then they let him get away too.
And then they didn't get arrested.
They let him get away. Like, he started chasing him. I was getting up. He starts running after him, and the police were right nearby. They could have. They gave a very like BS attempt to try to get them. They didn't even try, and that was it. And they got away. Yeah. And the police out there told us that if they make the wrong move with these so-called migrants, not migrants. I hate even using that word. These are invaders. It's an invading force. But if you use, the wrong type of force with these invaders, you might wind up in prison. And so they're afraid to. Yeah.
I mean, the racial dynamic here is just almost unbelievable. They're protected because they're not white. I mean, that's the truth, of course. It's the same in our country. So do you know what country they were from?
It's really hard to say. I mean, I have no idea. My guess would be Senegal. I don't really have any reason to say one way or the other. That's just my guess, because I know a lot of them come from Western Africa.
Right.
But they could have been from anywhere. Who knows? Sub-Saharan, though.
Sorry. It kind of takes your breath away to watch
disturbing.
that. Well, in Paris,
right? But the thing
was the center of civilization, supposedly,
right? Well, that's the thing. It's one of the most beautiful cities, right? But it's been overrun, and the thing is, though, that is a pretty light occurrence compared to what's going on with a lot of the
roll into someone else's continent, and when asked a question, just physically attack someone and then steal his stuff and then get away with it is like a level of where's the gratitude?
Oh, right. 100%. Right. Well, that's the thing. And, certain fish don't mix in the same aquarium. Like these people, I will tell you this, one of the takeaways that I got from this was, and I'm not downplaying what the U.S. is facing, because the U.S. is, facing its own sort of existential crisis when it comes to this. But, I will say, when you compare these people that are coming from Africa and the Middle East compared to the people that we got from like Venezuela, Colombia, and some of the Central American states, it is much different. I mean, those people will assimilate much better. For example, you could film them and they're cool. The Africans, if you try filming them, they would try to take your head off. Much, much different.
Well, it's a very different place.
Right.
I mean, Latin America is very different from sub-Saharan Africa, completely different. Right. And that's not a value judgment. It's much worse than Latin America by any measure.
100%.
Wow. So I want to put this up. This is a second clip from the doc, and this is a UN worker explaining to you how this happened in the first place and that there are incentives the rest of us don't see. Here it is.
Every boat that arrives here, the mafia gets between 50 to 60,000 euros. It's a game. It's a game. So no money is involved. When money is involved, everything's.
Wait, sorry.
Money involved, mountain, my brother.
But what I'm saying is, it doesn't seem like Spain wants to stop it. It seems like
no. Spain doesn't want to stop it.
Why does the Spanish government want this to continue? It seems like a big problem.
Because the Spanish government wouldn't want for it to stop, because every year the Spanish government receives a huge amount of money from the European Union. Every year the European Union gives more than 3 billion to Spain. So, what Spain does, 3 billion. Spain keeps 2 billion. Spain takes 1 billion in cartoon. Or in suitcase.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Spain government will take 1 billion in suitcase,
Yeah.
put on flight, go to Mauritania. Maybe the government spoke with like 10 people from Mauritania. From the top.
Yeah.
So those group of people that the government is going to meet with, the money is not by check, it's not by transfer, it's in carton, it's in luggage.
Wait, what? Wait, you're serious?
Luggage. I'm saying luggage.
Wait, they actually bring a suitcase of cash.
Suitcase. So the suitcase put on the table. That's why I make it a game.
Wait, are you serious right now?
We're talking something serious, my brother.
Whoa, they actually pay in cash.
Of course, in cash. Not transfer, no, in cash.
I love how the random African guy tells you the truth about the economics behind it.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a random African guy. That's the guy I'm telling. That is a United Nations representative.
No, but I'm just saying there is, and you notice this when you go to Africa, there is a kind of lack of guardedness. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not a place where people say what they think they have to say. They just kind of say what's obvious, which is what I like about Africa. But he knows he's part of the system.
Oh, 100%. And he's been with the IOM for years. Before that, he was with another NGO. I believe he was with ASSAM. That's that's the NGO that flies them to from the Canary Islands to the European mainland. But that was the most incredible undercover footage that I've ever gotten. You know, when it comes to this beat, like the illegal immigration beat, that's like the holy grail, because everybody asks, you know, how is this allowed to take place? What's going on here? And here you have a United Nations representative admitting on camera that at least one of the reasons why it's allowed to continue is that, you know, Spain gets this money ostensibly to stop the flow. But what they really do is they slow it down enough to a trickle, or it's not really a trickle, there's still thousands coming over, but they slow it down a little bit, act like they're doing something so that they could keep getting the money, skim the money off the top, and then use the rest ostensibly to stop the flow. But of course, they never stop it.
I mean, you just got that on tape.
I mean, yeah, I got it.
But what's interesting, so how old are you?
29. About to be 29.
How much did you spend on this whole enterprise?
Yeah, between 20 and 30, probably about 25,000. Yeah, and it took us about 2.5 months. Yeah.
I mean, God bless you. We're proud to run this. But if you and your brother are taking off with 30 grand and some cameras and getting to the truth of the situation, like where are the rest of the news organizations in the West?
Look, what I will say is this. I'm going to give the Europeans a break here because I'm an American. And so, you know, when I got this footage and then we're trying to get it to debut on TCN and we're talking to lawyers about, you know, getting E&O insurance and all this stuff. There was discussion like, you can't really be doing this in the European Union. It's different out there as far as their rights to film people and get certain things. But, you know, I'm in America now and I have the First Amendment on my side. And so if they try coming out, there's really
okay. Well, where's the New York Times? Where's the Washington Post? Where's Reuters, CNN? Like we have companies supposed to be covering the news. This is the biggest news story in 1,000 years, and they're not covering it at all.
Sure. I guess I'm giving the Europeans a break because if there was a European that tried doing this that was living in Spain or Germany, they'd have...
Well, they live behind the Iron Curtain,
exactly,
right? So I get it. They're not free peoples, but we are, and our news organizations have a lot more money and experience than you do, and they're not doing this, and so you just went and did it yourself.
Correct.
It's quite an indictment of them, I would say.
100%. Well, it's institutional capture. You know, they're supposed to be purveyors of truth, which some are to some extent, but, you know, real journalism, and, you know, I'm friends with James O'Keefe, and James O'Keefe talks about this a lot, which is that it's just so costly to do real journalism. That's why, you know, organizations like Fox, they just have the independent people come on now because they have the independent people break the story, take all the risk, and then Fox could just report on it. And I mean, you were with Fox, maybe you know better than I, but I feel like that wasn't the case 20 years ago. Maybe they would do their own stories, but now it's just mostly independent people because it's just so costly to do these things and so dangerous for the big organizations.
Not really. I mean, I saw Fox, I was there 15 years. So I saw them spend millions and millions and millions on fake interviews. They'd fly out, you know, 30 people a week early to do some interview with the head of state where they never asked a single real question. So they have the money, of course. It's the most profitable news organization in the world. They just don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, you spend 30 grand, you can't even buy a nice new car for 30 grand.
Right.
That was your total cost? Like that's not much money in the scheme of things.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
To get to the heart of a global crisis?
Right. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. And when there's not, nothing's going to get done. So
no, that's right. I just think that your initiative is a mark of shame for the rest of the media. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So here's a clip that I'm not sure I really understand, but I want to know what it means. French woman explains queers only migrant facility. Let's just watch this and then you can interpret it for the normal person.
Just a few miles from where we were jumped, men like the ones who attacked us turn up at Artis, an NGO that helps illegal immigrants apply for asylum. Could you tell me more about what's the...
This is for migrants to help people for asylum.
To help migrants with asylum?
Yes.
Okay.
But queer migrants only.
Queer migrants only?
Yeah.
So if they're not queer...
No, not here.
Not here.
Only queer.
If they're not queer, not here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of love that. What did I just watch?
Well, it speaks for itself. The clip that comes after that is we are in Catholic Charities facility in northern France. And then we're talking to a guy and we ask, hey, do people like BS about being, gay or LGBT or whatever? And the guy says, yeah, he's like, all the migrants that come over here, all the migrants that are coming here that claim to be LGBTQ, it's BS. They're just trying to get their papers. And that's what
Is there a test? Do they have like a sodomy test for it? Or is there some way to test for gayness at these facilities?
Not that I've heard of. I highly doubt it.
To be clear, the reason that people are saying they're gay is not because they want to be more fashionable, but because the French government or European governments give them preferential treatment if they're gay?
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
Why would they do that?
Well, it's a victim class. Why would they let these people in to begin with, right?
Great point.
Yeah. Right. So, now if they're gay and they come from some Islamic republic, wow. Well, now they really have a case to be here, right? They could be facing persecution. Oh my God.
Oh, they're going to get thrown off a roof in Tunisia or something.
Exactly. So there you go.
So, but is there any calculation at all on the part of European governments as to like, what will these people do to improve our country?
Not that I saw. Look, they show up. Okay. And this is happening in many different countries, but I'm telling you about the route that what we saw firsthand. They show up in the Canary Islands. They're there in these camps for months. Then they're flown to the mainland. I mean, we talked to people.
They're flown?
Oh, yeah. They're given plane tickets and they're flown to Madrid or Barcelona. And they're put in camps where they'll be there for many years. Like over 2 years, some of them were telling us. And they're just waiting for their papers and they don't do anything all day. They don't work. I mean, it's in the documentary. People can watch it. They're saying, no working, no eating, I forget what else he says, but he's like, only eat and sleep. That's what he's only eat and sleep here.
But the point where you fly them to your continent, like what, does it occur to nobody that the population doesn't want them?
Mm-hmm.
There's no evidence they've added anything, only detracted. I'm sure individuals have, but overall they have not added anything. They've only made it worse. So why would you why'd you let the planes land? And why would you pay for the planes? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
And maybe it's that clip you showed a minute ago that they're getting paid to do it. It's a good thing to start the new year feeling fresh, and Cozy Earth can help. What better way to give yourself a brand new start than by revamping your bedroom, your sacred personal space, to feel clean, crisp, and original. That'll make you more creative and happier too. Our friends at Cozy Earth just launched their new Baja bedding set. It's perfect for a comfortable sleep to keep you energized, well rested. Sheets, covers, quilts, more, all with premium fabrics to make your spot, your personal cave, more beautiful. The bedroom is one thing, but what about the bathroom? Cozy Earth has that covered too. Their bath towels are pretty amazing, made from a blend, believe it or not, of cotton and bamboo with zero twist technology. That means they're plush, absorbent, make you feel like you're at a resort when you step out of the shower. All of this comes with a 100-night sleep trial, a 10-year warranty, no risk whatsoever to you. Start the year with comfort. Visit CozyEarth.com. Use our code Tucker for up to 20% off. That's CozyEarth.com, code Tucker. And if you get a post-purchase survey, let them know you heard about it on this show.
Yeah, well, again, there's many different interest groups, you could say, that are allowing this to continue. Again, at its core is that this is national suicide and people don't, the general population doesn't realize it. And then beyond that, it's just opportunists, clearly. And people that you could say they hate the country, you could say they simply don't give a damn, but whatever it is, that's ultimately why this is allowed to continue. I mean, at the highest level, 100%. And, it's this adherence to like international norms, in quotes,
Right.
You had like the 1951 UN Refugee Convention, and that came after World War II. And then you had the 1967 Protocol, so the 1951 Convention basically said, you have to take care of these refugees. Like there were so many stateless people after World War II. You have to give them a place of safe haven. You can't kick them back to a country where they could be facing persecution. But the 1951 UN protocol only applied from that moment and before. So any future events, the 1951 protocol didn't apply. Then you had the 1967 protocol, which basically said, okay, now going forward, the 1951 convention is going to cover everything going forward. And so you have a lot of countries now that have basically enshrined this in law. I don't know what it is in Spain. In the United States, it's the Refugee Act of 1980. And if we didn't have that, for example, a lot of the people that come over here that are just economic migrants claiming that they're refugees and they really have no standing, but they claim that they're facing some sort of violence. The only reason why this whole system exists, where they come here, we catch them, we give them a court date and release them, is because of the 1980 Refugee Act, which is built on this 1967 protocol. And so my point is, it's this idea of these international post-World War II norms that, national leaders are just too cowardly to do away with.
And the whole point, obviously, was to eliminate, you don't want white majority countries in Europe because they're dangerous. That's the whole
100%,
idea behind them. But they're actually not dangerous, and they're the source of our civilization. So to destroy them is a big step. I wonder if it's not stoppable, is it?
Well, it's stoppable, but how reversible is it? That's really the question.
Exactly. Thank you. Reversible.
You could stop this tomorrow. We're talking about the most powerful countries on earth here. France is a powerful country.
It has nuclear weapons. Believe it or not.
It has nuclear weapons.
It's
Absolutely.
Kind of crazy.
Absolutely. Germany is a nuclear threshold state, right?
Yeah.
So, Spain maybe less so, but regardless, the European Union as a whole. Look, they're trying to go to war with Russia, right? So I think.
Well, what's interesting is that Merz has admitted, in private, at least, that they can't raise an army in Germany because it will be majority Muslim, because the Germans aren't having kids and the Muslims are, and they actually don't want to give hundreds of thousands of young Muslim men weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're worried about what would happen if they did that. So they can't raise an army in Germany already.
That's incredible.
That's a fact.
Wow. And
so I wonder, I guess if it's gotten to that point, we just have to readjust to a new understanding of Europe, right?
It's sad to say. And I don't really want to, I don't want to speak for the Europeans. I'm an American.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I will say that something, it almost feels like impotent to sit here and be like, well, something's got to be done. It really is a matter of life and death, national survival. And, literally every day that goes by, it gets worse. Every day counts at this point. And the only way that I could see them reversing it is not without some sort of serious civil conflict, because these people will fight back. These are high testosterone men. The IOM worker, just to give you some context.
They will fight back, exactly right.
100. Look, what do you see here in the United States?
Ask your brother. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's one example.
And that was just from pointing a camera at the guy.
Oh, yeah. Now try to get him out. Look, when we were in France, there was a Frenchman who, not far from where we were in Calais, and not far from there, so while we were there, somebody got beheaded in a parking lot by these people. Okay, so these are very serious, high testosterone men. That IOM worker, the one that we played the clip of earlier, this guy was so corrupt. And when we were there, I paid him 500 euros and he sold me an Excel sheet that showed all of the arrivals from the beginning of the year till the date that I met him, which was 4 months. It was from January till April 15th or something like that. And, it showed how many women, how many men, how many children. And it's all men. It might be less than 5% women and a smaller percent children.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's all high testosterone men. These are very, very serious people. You have no idea who these people are, by the way. These could be Islamic State militants. You have no idea. And I wouldn't be surprised.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they getting their biometrics taken when they get in? Do you know?
That I do not know. They tried. They show up with no documents. So, but they do. I know they fingerprint them. I'm not sure if they do retina scans or what else
Blood
they might
tests
do,
or anything like that.
I couldn't tell you.
Ones with HIV get fast track citizenship, I'm sure.
Perhaps.
That's true here. Wow. Did this change you?
Did it change me? Well,
it's a pretty intense experience.
Yeah. We've been through a lot doing this. I've rode the train of death 3 times in Mexico. We've been kidnapped by the cartel, my brother and I. We've done this. I'll tell you what. Here's what I will say, and this is kind of an indictment of Europe. And I don't want people to think that I'm shitting on Europe. I mean, that's where my ancestors come from, right? But they got to take back their continent. But I will say this. So as I told you before, myself and my brother, we were the first Americans to go from South America to the U.S. border to follow the whole route. It took us about a month. And when we were doing that, the fear there was criminal organizations.
Yes.
Right? And rightly so. I mean, we got kidnapped by the Gulf cartel at the very end of it, encountered other cartel organizations. Here, when we were doing it, now there was still the criminal element there. Like when we're in Mauritania, I believe I was, we were trying to meet up with smugglers. They were trying to set us up. There's a whole other story. But really what I was afraid of, not just in Mauritania, obviously, but of course, like in Spain and France and the UK, was not criminal organizations, even though we're going and trying to, embed with migrants that are getting smuggled. Right. It was the government. The entire time I was worried that they were going to realize that there are two Americans walking around with hidden cameras and they're going to bust down our hotel room door and pick us up and, haul us off in a paddy wagon. That was honestly what I was more afraid about.
That's how intent they are in committing suicide.
100%.
And now Keir Starmer is pushing, government killing of its own citizens, government assisted suicide, government committed suicide, as if like native-born Britons need more excuses to die or something. I mean, what is going on?
National suicide, man.
National suicide.
That's what it is.
But did your views change?
Did my views change? Well, look, it is very sad. I will say probably not, because it was more or less what I expected. But, it's just another thing to see it in person. Did it change? No, but, it was a learning experience.
Did you feel more threat from the migrants coming into Europe or the migrants coming into the U.S.?
Oh, definitely the ones coming in to Europe, 100%. Yeah. These are very serious guys. Again, we've been embedded, my brother and I have been embedded with caravans in Mexico where we're walking up with them through Mexico, and we're like in front of the caravan. There's videos that we have of this, and we're literally taking selfies. We're flying a drone that's out in front, and they're cool. They don't mind.
Oh, totally.
You can go shake hands with these people, and they almost think it's like their moment to be on TV or something. Like, hey, I'm going to America. And out there, man, in Europe, it's like if you point a camera at them, look, if there's no police around, they will slit your throat. And I don't say this flippantly because, look, I love all people. There's great people from Africa too. But, I've employed people that are in Zimbabwe and South Africa, very smart people that I've worked with. But, on the whole, certain fish don't mix in the same aquarium.
Yeah, there's a real difference between someone from El Salvador and someone from Sierra Leone. There just is.
100%.
On many levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anthony, I can't tell you much. I appreciate you doing this, Doc, and letting us air it. And you're a brave man. Your brother's brave too. I'm looking at him sitting over there, scar on his face. Thank you. Oh, what's your next doc?
The next documentary, well, we could talk about this. Maybe we'll collab on this one as well.
Off camera.
We'll talk off camera. It involves people that have had we've already got footage of people that have had their faces sawed off, and it's really bad. What's going on in, let's just say, south of the border. I don't want to say much more than that because we're trying to arrange certain interviews. So we'll leave it at that, but we'll talk off camera.
Good. I can't wait. Yeah. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You can see all these people here. They just came out of the dunes. There's got to be around 100 of them. And now a boat's going to try to come around and pick them up.
In a single generation, Europe has changed forever, more than it has in the last 2,000 years.
Whoa, easy. Whoa.
This is the result of decades of mass migration. And that migration has destroyed social unity. It's reshaped the cultures of Europe completely. It's transformed once beautiful cities into slums.
Como no me dejen entrar en Estados Unidos por tu culpa, te corto el cuello.
In many cities, natives are now the minority. This was not an accident, didn't happen organically, you're not imagining it.
But the police do that because they are working with the criminals, the one who smuggle people.
The governments of Western Europe and the United States and Canada, New Zealand, and Australia did this on purpose to their own people. They opened their border and they paid for the rest of the world, the third world, to move into their countries.
Whatever happens, happens, I suppose.
How exactly did they do that? Our cameras found out. We followed one of the deadliest trade routes on Earth, from Africa to the Canary Islands to Spain, France, ending in the UK.
This is what happens when you let a bunch of foreigners completely overtake your country.
Along the way, we uncovered the entire system of criminal networks, NGOs, and criminal governments coordinating together to destroy the West.
Every boat that arrives here, the mafia gets between 50 to 60,000 euros.
All played a role in this massive human trafficking scheme, moving people across borders to reshape the West.
Los personas aquí ¿Tienen trabajos o nada?
No trabajan.
Europeans are being replaced racially, spiritually, culturally in their own homeland, and so are we.
We inform them what to do and not to do, so they don't catch them there and they bring them back to Spain.
The only question is, will Europe awaken before it has disappeared?
Do you think we could get killed?
If not killed, at least you will get beat up.
Watch Replacing Europe only on TuckerCarlson.com.